All right, so this is exciting because this is where we talk about SEO. SEO means search engine optimization, and there's a few simple tricks that you can use to there's a few simple tricks that you can use to rank higher on Google. And the reality is often we're paying an SEO company and sometimes we're paying them a lot of money in order to rank higher, and we don't always need to be. Or at the very least, what we can do with the information in this video is know whether an SEO company is really doing us some justice here. Now there's a billion different things that we can be doing for SEO, and some of the good news here is that almost everything that we do from a marketing perspective will actually help our SEO. And when we're talking about SEO, I'm going to refer to Google and how Google ranks us. And really what Google is doing, all they're doing is they're trying to find the best information for the person that's searching. So it's got to be the most relevant information for the searcher. And sometimes it's the most relevant information along with the customer that pays the most to Google to get found. So it's still going to be relevant information, but sometimes the customer pays to get found. But we're going to talk about how we kind of can skirt around that issue and why we don't always need to rely on Google Ads. I'm not saying you shouldn't use them, but it shouldn't be our go-to method as far as SEO goes, is relying on Google Ads first until we have an understanding of a few simple things around SEO. So first and foremost, let's take a look at how do we actually decide what it is that we're going to pick as a customer, as a consumer, when we go and we search something. So let's just say I go in here and I search, for instance, because I'm going to be talking about us. Let's talk about that. Cabin rentals in the Okanagan, right? So when I go through here, my question for you is, what's the first thing that you click? Do you click on the ads first? Or do you go to and start looking at the first kind of organic searches that pop up? Well, if you're like me, and I think most people that I ask this question to, often what they'll do is they're going to blow past the ads first. They just skip over them because they want the most relevant search results. And most people still have this understanding that the most relevant search results are the ones that individuals haven't paid for. So they'll skip over all of that, and they're going to go to the search results here that are organic. And so in my opinion, yes, you can pay for Google AdWords, but it's better if you can rank high organically for the search terms that you want to be found for. You can see here, I type in cabin rentals Okanagan and we show up pretty high. That might be swayed by by my own searches. So we can go into incognito mode here so that it's not using my cookies as a term that we use. It's basically not using my IP address, my cookies, my previous search history to pull this up. And I can show you guys how we've been ranking fairly high with our own search terms, and we've been ranking high organically. So what I'm trying to say is you want to rank high organically. You want to show up on the first page for the search terms that people are looking for when they're looking for you. And we're going to discuss how we find those terms as well. So if we want to rank high here, how do we do that? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we have to know kind of what search terms are people using when they're looking to book with us. So here's an awesome tool that I'm going to show you guys. This was showed to me by an SEO, a guy that owned an SEO agency. And he said that they used it more than any other tool. And that tool is this one right here. It's called Keywords Everywhere. Keywords Everywhere Keyword Tool. And what this allows us to do is when we type in a search term, it'll bring up, see this information down here? It brings that information up organically, and it gives you all this stuff here on the sidebar for search engine research, basically when it comes to the key terms. It'll tell you a number of different things. So it's going to give you, in the big headings, we're going to be looking at related keywords, and then it'll also give you suggestions for people also search for. If often these keywords are ones that are correlated, related, and then these keywords are the ones that are usually the secondary search. So someone might search for this first, and then the next search that they make, Google will actually give a prediction of what's often the next search they make after that search. So they'll give it to you in this column. And then if you scroll all the way to the very bottom, Google will give you this information right here, but now Keywords Everywhere, it'll give you what's showing up as data here. So what does this data actually tell us? Let's go over that really quick. The first thing is the volume, and that's huge. The volume, I don't mean the number's huge, I mean the importance of that information is extremely valuable to you, because this tells you how many searches per month are happening for that search term. And I might be set, because you can actually set this. I don't know if it'll pop down. I've got it set to global right now, but you can set it to the country, which I'm sure it'll be the same if we run it again, because people outside of the Okanagan might not be looking yet. So it's roughly the same. So this will give you how many people are searching within the country, or for a lot of us, often we're going to keep it global because we've got a global clientele. So I might switch that back to global. So how many searches are there in the world for that term? Now, why is that important? Because if we come over here and we look at related keywords, what we're going to be looking at is what is more searched. Cabin Rentals Okanagan or Shuswap Cabin Rentals, for instance, has a higher search volume. And so what we want to do is we want to figure out what are those high search volumes, and as long as they apply, or sometimes if they're close, we are going to write that term down. Because what we're doing is we're looking for what are the key terms that people are searching for when they're looking for us. So for us now, we're not in the Shuswap, that's a different geographical region. So we might not try and get ranked for that term, but we can see that there's 260 searches a month for cabins for rent in BC interior. So we might want to rank for that. So I might write that term down so that I know, you know what, it looks like a decent amount of people are searching for that specific thing. Then the other thing I'll look at is I'll come down here and I'll look at, okay, people are also searching for what? Kelowna Vacation Rentals. Kelowna Vacation Rentals is a big one, so that might be a search term that I want to rank for. We're not operating within the city boundaries of Kelowna, but we do operate in the Okanagan, and often when somebody's looking for Kelowna Vacation Rentals, they're looking for an Okanagan vacation. So we might look to rank for that term as well. And then you can see all these other terms that are being ranked. Lakefront Cabin Rentals BC, 390. Rustic Cabin Rentals BC, 390. If I put in, let's say, Cabin Rentals British Columbia, we can also see there's 390 on that search. And then we can see, well, we're not selling cabins, but Cabin Rentals Okanagan is a big one. So we definitely want to get ranked for that, 720, which is what we had before. We're not Vancouver Island, so really the biggest ones that we can, the highest search term that we can get ranked for, it looks like here, is Cabin Rentals Okanagan. So we want to rank #1 for that key search term. So now the question is, well, how do we do that? How do we make sure that we show up? When I type in Cabin Rentals Okanagan, how do I make sure that we show up in the first page? And to give you guys an honest result here, I'm going to go to incognito. What this does is it wipes out any information the computer's kept about me or previous searches, so it's a unadulterated search, so to speak. So if I type in Cabin Rentals Okanagan, for instance, boom, you can see right away we're the first suggestion that pops up, even in incognito mode. And if I skip past all the ads, I can't beat out the ads. The people that are paying, they're going to be at the top. Whoever pays plays at the top. So if you want to pay, you can. I'm not saying you shouldn't pay. I'm saying that what we know from, or what I know, I should say, from talking and running this session with hundreds, if not well into like over 1,000 business owners, just for this session alone, everyone always tells me that when they're searching, they skip over all the ads and they'll go to the first organic terms and they'll start looking there. Now, what's interesting here is that you can see that we're beat out by Canada Stays and Cottages in Canada. However, what I will note here is that we are the first private resort that shows up. So these are third-party booking sites, and we're the first private one that shows up right here, which is pretty awesome, because now as people are going through, they skip over the ads, they might look at these third-party sites. There's not anything that says they won't, but usually they'll skim this page first and then they'll come back up and then they're going to go to the most relevant search result for them. So often we're going to rank for being the first private search result that shows up there, which is awesome. So the question is, how do we do that? How do we hit that position? There's other things that we could do here. Let's do this also in in incognito, let's say I go cabin rentals in British Columbia. Let's see what pops up there if I'm incognito. You can see here we're popping up again at the top, which is awesome. First selection there, and then as I go down, there are a number of third-party sites, third-party site, third-party site, third-party site. There's just a ton of third-party sites. And I'm not, here's what's important. If you're watching this video, which obviously you are, it's going to be tough. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna be tough to beat out these third-party sites. Reason for that is because these third-party sites, they just have way more traffic. And because they have more traffic, they have bigger budgets, it's going to be hard to rank higher than them because Google will give always the most relevant search results, and Google usually determines that the sites that have the most traffic, the reason that it has the most traffic is because that is what people are looking for. So it's going to be hard to beat out those third-party sites. It's something that we're going to be continuously working on, but in my opinion, your goal right now should be not to try and beat out the third-party sites, because some of them have budgets that are in the millions of dollars or multi-millions of dollars. TripAdvisor, for instance, multi-million dollar budget, a good chunk of which they're going to be spending on SEO. Same with HomeAway, same with Airbnb. These guys are all people that have multi-million dollar budgets. It's just going to be hard to compete with them because that's their marketing budget. It's larger typically than what any of us are running for a marketing budget. So our goal is not to beat out all the third-party sites. Our goal is to be just better than any of the private sites. And the adage I kind of like to use, it ties into a joke that I heard once, where there's two guys hiking in the woods, and all of a sudden they see a bear. And the one guy starts panicking. He's like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? And the other guy bends down and starts lacing up his boots. And the guy that's panicking is like, what are you doing? What are you lacing up your boots for? You can't outrun a bear. And the guy that's lacing up his boots says, I don't have to outrun the bear. I just have to outrun you. And that is the analogy that we're going to be giving here. Is we're not trying to outrun the bear. We're not trying to beat out the massive what we call OTAs, online travel agencies. We're not trying to beat them out because it's almost impossible at this point with the budgets and the resources that we have. All we're trying to do is beat out all the other private sites. So you can see here, we still rank on the first page, and that's really what we're going for, is we're going for that ranking on the first page. We show up top of the list here, and then we show up on the first page here for cabin rentals in British Columbia. So that's the goal. We just need to beat out all the other private sites. So now the question is, how do we do that? Well, what I want you to do is I want you to check out a really quick way of understanding whether you've got a good SEO company or not, or good SEO or not, is I'm going to close this out. Go to your site, and on your site, I can tell on any site, if I just go to the site, I can tell whether they've got decent SEO or not, because all I need to do is this. I take my mouse, I hover over this tab, and I see what pops up. So I can see here I've got cozy cabins, and then I've got vacation rentals, cabin rentals in British Columbia. And you know why that's awesome? Because those are terms that we want to rank for. That's the reason, that's part of the reason that we're showing up at the top, is because this is the title, the SEO title for our page. It's not just cozy cabins. It's cozy cabins, vacation rentals, cabin rentals in British Columbia, which means that we're going to rank high for that term because that's the title of the page. The way that Google ranks your pages, the way that Google finds you in their search, here's what they do. They're going to look, first thing they're going to look at is the title of your page. So they're looking at that bit right there, and that's on the back end. I'm going to show you guys how to put that in on the back end later. Then what they'll do, this is in the picture, I believe. So then what they're going to do is they're going to start looking at the titles and the text on the page, and they're going to be asking themselves, okay, what's the title and the text on the page, and does it have the key term that people are looking for? So that's what we want to make sure that we're incorporating into the title of our page and our sites. And just to give an example here, here's another resort also in the Okanagan. These guys are awesome. I know the owners of this resort, awesome resort, but this is often what we'll see is we'll go here and we'll take a look at the title of the page, and all it has is the name of the business. Or worse, it just says home. And so are people searching specifically for Beaver Lake Mountain Resort? Yeah, Sure, there's a ton of people that are. However, there's also a ton of people out there that have never heard of Beaver Lake, so they're just going to be looking for vacation rental Okanagan, for instance. And if they look vacation rental Okanagan, or if they look at vacation rentals in, or let's say in this case, because these guys have cabins, if they look for cabin rentals in BC, who's going to show up, do you think? Is it going to be us, cabin rentals in British Columbia, or is it going to be Beaver Lake, which is Beaver Lake Mountain Resort? Well, if someone searches cabin rentals in British Columbia, we're going to be the clear choice. We're going to be the one that ranks on SEO, and Beaver Lake is not going to rank anywhere near the first page necessarily. So we want to make sure that that title is there. And we want to make sure it's there not just on our home page, but if we've done the work, like if I go back here and we start looking at, okay, what are these other terms that we want to rank for? We can take those terms and we can make those the themes of our different pages. So if I go to, let's say, cabins, for instance, now if I hover over here, I got lakeside and waterfront cabins for rent, British Columbia. So now we rank for that term. And maybe that term can be updated because we can see there's other terms out there that are probably outranking us now, so we can probably change the title on that page. But what I'm saying is if I go to, let's say I go to accommodation on these guys' page, and I haven't done this, so now this is just going to be an experiment. Let's say I go cabins. What's going to show up here? Well, not a surprise. Where are we? Cabins, Beaver Lake Mountain Resort. So if everyone searches cabins, that's great. They might show up, but you can see here that if someone searches like lakeside and waterfront cabins for rent in British Columbia, who's going to show up? Us or Beaver Lake? Well, it's going to be, again, it's going to be us. So for each of the pages that you guys have, make sure you theme those pages. And they don't have to be necessarily anything about the page. It's better if they are, but it doesn't have to be. Let's say I go to my contact page, for instance. So as opposed to contact, it says here lake house and cottage rentals in British Columbia, because that was a key term that we determined at one point that we wanted to rank for. And if I go to the contact page on these guys' page, I'm going to go with reservation inquiry as their contact page. So this is their contact page. If I come here, it's going to say cabin reservation inquiry, Beaver Lake Mountain Resort. So again, it's not a key term. It's not a key term that people are searching for in SEO. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. What we want to do is we want to go and we want to put those key terms in on the back end. So for each of these pages has a theme, and we base that theme off of the results that we're getting from our Keywords Everywhere tool. So now we know what we want to be ranked for here. So the way that you do that, now you might all have different sites and site hosts. I understand that. So if you guys are using anything like a drag and drop website builder, good examples of that are Squarespace, Wix, who else am I thinking of? Wistia, is that one? No, sorry. Names are eluding me at the point. Or sorry, in this moment. So if you guys are using any kind of drag and drop web builder, then there's going to be an SEO function there where you can change title. They're all a little bit different, so I can't really educate you on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you ours. Ours is built on WordPress, which is the most common website platform. So if you're on WordPress, then this is what it looks like. So if I go back into the editor on WordPress, there's different versions of editor here. Let's go back to, well, oops, I shouldn't have done that, because now it's going to take me here. Let's see if it'll go back. Okay, so if you're on the editor page, or if you're in your back end of your website, and you go to your pages section, you click on pages, and what we do, or what we have, I guess, is at the bottom of the page, we have this section that asks us, okay, what's the title of the page? What would you like the title of the page? So I can go in here and I can change this to any different title I want. And then it'll show here what this will actually show up like when someone searches on Google what that page would show up like on Google. So if someone searched this lakefront cabin and vacation rentals in British Columbia, then we would show up. And then you can put your description in there, which is what the person would see if they were going directly to that page. And that's really all that we're worried about in this space here. And we do this with a tool called All-in-One SEO Pack, which is just a plugin. So if you go to plugins and you install a new plugin, then All-in-One SEO Pack, you can see that right there. I think this might be the free version, or this might be maybe it cost us $50, something like that. It's what we use. We haven't upgraded to Pro. I haven't seen the need to yet. Not that I'm an SEO expert by any means, but so far we've been managing to rank decently well just using this all-in-one SEO pack. So it's something that I would recommend that you get. Some of you guys might already have some kind of SEO. A lot of times the popular one is Yoast. Have Yoast all-in-one SEO pack. That's fine. You don't have to switch over to this one. You use whatever you've got if you have one already. As long as you can switch the titles and the descriptions for the pages, that's all that we're worried about. So that in itself can be a really quick fix for you. It shouldn't take, like I run this as a workshop all the time with our business owners. Typically it takes them 15 minutes to research a bunch of the terms using this keyword SEO tool just to understand, okay, what terms do I want to rank for? And then usually it takes them another 15 minutes to go in and actually change the titles or update the titles in the back end if they have access to the back end of their site, to go into pages, as you can see. And then in any one of these pages, if I go in and change the titles, change the titles down here to the search term, it takes you 15 minutes maybe to go through the main pages of your website. If you've got tons and tons of pages, it's going to take you a bit longer, but just focus on the core pages first and then work your way down from there. So the core pages get the search terms that have the most traction, and then we go from there. Other tricks are pictures. If you have pictures on your website, which I'm sure you do, actually naming the pictures, the search term on the page that you want to be ranked for, also can help in terms of your search engine optimization. So for instance, if on this page we want to be ranked for, what's our title down here? Lakefront Cabin and Vacation Rentals in British Columbia. I might go through for these pictures and I might actually name this picture Lakefront and Vacation Rentals British Columbia 1, then Lakefront and Vacation Rentals British Columbia 2, Lakefront and Vacation Cabin Rentals 3. You guys get the point. So the more times that Google sees that term on a page, the more likely they are to show that page to the person that's looking for it. So you can name your pictures. The other thing you can name, Google will see these headings as well. Doesn't always, whoops, I don't want to mess that. Doesn't always work to use this heading and put the SEO term into the heading, but if you can, then that can be really beneficial for you. So putting the term into the headings on your page, at least one heading would be awesome, and then also at least 2 times within the text would help you as well. So that's how we actually rank higher on Google than most other businesses that are out there. We just take a hard look at what are all the different pages on our site and what's the title for that page, and then we just make sure the titles are lined up with key terms that we want to be found for. So hope that helped you guys out. Right now, go download the Keywords Everywhere tool, figure out what are the typically like 5 top search terms that you're going to be wanting to be found for, and then take those search terms and just put them in as the title in the back end. And no, don't worry, it doesn't change any of these titles on the front end. As you can see, home still says home according to the person that's looking at it. The thing that they won't see is what it actually says on the back end. And up here you can see it doesn't say home. It says Cozy Cabins, Vacation Rentals, Cabin Rentals in British Columbia. You don't see that anywhere on the actual website itself, but this is what Google sees. So you want to make sure you focus on that. All right, get to it. And we'll see you guys in the next video.